Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Today we are going to do definition, scope, principles, nature, goals and process of social work. So this will be beneficial to UGCNET students of social work and also MSW students. And it is going to cover the first part of the first unit of social work syllabus. So social work definition. This definition is given by International Federation of Social Workers. Social work as a practice-based and academic discipline that promotes change and social development. Accordingly, the principle of social justice, human rights, collective responsibility, and respect of diversity are vital in the field. And the second definition is by Australian Association of Social Workers, which is social work as a practical profession designed at helping people address their problems and matching them with the resources they need to lead healthy and productive lives. Now, scope of social work, it is very wide and it is not possible to give any definite and uniform basis for including certain services in the scope of social work. But some of the fields are welfare of handicapped, services for aged, social defense, child welfare, women welfare, medical and psychiatric social work, community development, and youth welfare. So the next one is principles of social work. The social work profession is guided by a distinct set of abstract values and code of ethics. The values are transformed into accepted practice principles for the purpose of informing our intervention with the client. So these 7 principles are principle of acceptance, principle of individualization, principle of purposeful expression of feeling, principle of self-determination, principle of non-judgmental attitude, principle of confidentiality, principle of controlled emotional involvement. So we are going to do in detail. First one is principle of acceptance. Acceptance is fundamental to social work principle. That implies a sincere understanding of the client. Acceptance is conveyed in the professional relationship through the expression of genuine concern, receptive listening, intentional responses that acknowledge the other person's point of view, and the creation of climate of mutual respect. So the next one is principle of controlled emotional involvement. There are 3 components to the controlled emotional response to the client's situation. First is sensitivity to expressed or unexpressed feelings. And second is understanding based on knowledge of human behavior. And the next one is response guide by response. Next one is purposeful expression of feelings. Client needs to have opportunities to express their feelings freely to the social worker. As social worker, we must go beyond just the facts to uncover the underlying feelings. Next is principle of non-judgmental attitude. Communicating non-judgmentalism is essential to developing a relationship with the client. It does not imply that social workers do not make decisions. Rather, it implies a non-blaming attitude and behavior. Social workers judge others as neither good or bad or nor as worthy or unworthy. So next one is principle of controlled emotional involvement. There are 3 components to controlled emotional response to the client's situation. First one is sensitivity to expressed or unexpressed feelings. Next is understanding based on knowledge of human behavior. And the next is response guided by knowledge and purpose. The social worker should not respond a way that conveys coldness or lack of interest, while at the same time cannot over-identify with the client. He should not be too much involved or he must not start to cry listening to the story of the client. Next is principle of self-determination. Principle of self-determination is that clients should be given choice to choose their decisions. So the principle of self-determination is based on the recognition of the right and needs of the clients to freedom in making their own choices and decisions. Next is principle of confidentiality. Confidentiality or the right to privacy implies that clients must give expressed consent before information such as their identity, the content of discussion held with them, one's professional opinion about them, or the record is disclosed. Next is Nature of Social Work by CSWE, Council of Social Work Education. Guided by a person and environment construct, a global perspective, respect for human diversity, and knowledge based on scientific inquiry, social workers' purpose is actualized through its quest for social and economic justice, the prevention of conditions that limit human rights, and elimination of poverty, and enhancement of the quality of life of all persons. Goals of social work: to develop competent social work professionals grounded in knowledge, values, skills necessary for entry-level journalist practice with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities, primarily within the urban community. Promote social justice and equality of all the people with regards to full participation of the people in the society. Next is enhance communication through an appreciation of diversity and through ethically sensitive and non-sexist social work practice. Next is employ educational strategies for the prevention and resolution of the problems. Next is the process of social work. The stages of journalist practice model will assist social work practitioners in effective supporting clients to attain their change goal and knowing what to do each step of the way. So, the process of social work is engagement, assessment, planning, intervention, evaluation, and termination. We're going to do it in detail. Engagement. During the engagement state, the social worker should focus on building trust and rapport with the client so that mutually agreed upon goals can be determined. In engagement, the social worker is actively involved with the client, listening to his or her perspective on problem, reasons for seeking treatment, and desired outcome of therapy. Next is assessment. During the assessment stage, the focus shifts to information gathering. In assessment, social workers should collect key data about the client through interviews and other assessment techniques and instruments and collateral contacts. Next is planning. During this stage, the social worker and the client work together to develop action plan that is suited to the client's unique circumstances. This action plan should include specific objectives and tasks that work towards accomplishing of the stated goals with a clear timeline for action and expected of who will do that. Next is intervention. Intervention is the stage when the client and the social worker mobilize resources to implement the action plan, both complying with their agreed upon expectations. During the stage, the social worker should monitor client's progress and the client should bring to the social worker's attention any challenging obstacle or threat to carrying out the action plan. Next one is evaluation. The social worker at this stage critically evaluates how an intervention is working based on the client's progress. If goals are not met, it may be necessary to return to the assessment stage to better define the problem. Next is termination. During this stage, the client reflects on his or her accomplishment and client and social worker work together to identify resources and support in the place to help the client so that the problem don't re-emerge. So that's all for today, and let's get JRF. If you find this video of some value, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you so much.